All right, so I agree with Dr. Clark-Hellman in her second lecture on improving democracy that the most appropriate type of proportional representation of the House of Representatives and the state elections would be mixed member proportional. In theory, I did like the concept of open list, where voters choose specific party candidates and the votes determine party representation with the seats filled by the most popular representatives. This would ensure that voters do have the most power over who represents them. However, I know that personally I'm more informed about party platforms than individual candidates. And then when given candidate options on a ballot, I might tend to choose the name that I like more. That represents the party I typically align with. And I don't think that I'm alone in that method. Um, I know that it's kind of an ignorant way of voting, um, and that it invites uninformed voter selection. But open list voting might deter some less politically aware voters from participating, particularly younger voters. Um, and in states where incarcerated people are allowed to vote, they wouldn't really be aware of regional candidate campaigns. A closed list election system where voters choose a party rather than a candidate would be accessible to the general, less informed population while giving the highly politically informed voters like the opportunity to express disapproval candidates representing parties that they typically align with. But I think that mixed member proportional representation remains accessible to the less informed population. And then it also allows highly informed voters to express their um, differentiating differentiating political alignment with candidate support. And then it might also encourage increased political awareness among the public as more candidates focus on meaningful regional political campaigns. The Vox video covering why the US elections only give two choices explained that adopting proportional representation in the House of Representatives requires a federal law change made by Congress. And so that is kind of a big obstacle. Dr. Clark-Hellman explained that neither established party tends to be in favor of proportional representation because it empowers third parties and displaces their influence. So then that Vox video said, like, we got to start smaller. They encourage videos to start with, or viewers to start with local city council reform, then expand to state legislators. Later transition to proportional representation elections. And then these smaller experimental system structures can kind of provide a blueprint for change at the federal level eventually. They can diversify the House of Representatives, who can then advocate for federal law changes, including bills to expand the House of Representatives. And then that if the House of Representatives expanded, it would make more sense to have larger electoral districts with a greater number of representatives. Dr. Clark-Hellman expressed that public education on state and local elections and policy is really key in overcoming these obstacles to changing federal law. We can't just rely on partisan influence and instruction. We have to expand our independent and critical thinking. As I learned more about mixed member proportional representation, I started to worry that a wider diversity of representative views would lead to really slow decision making. I think Dr. Clark-Hellman described this as like a paralysis. And it's kind of like what we see, I think, in the House and tension between the House of Representatives and then the policy proposal graveyard that is the Senate. Um, I think that this would lead to more centrist decisions to be made, both at the state and federal level. And as a sustainability student, learning that like urgent political action is necessary to combat climate change and environmental degradation. Centrist politics are kind of scary, but I understand that they are more democratic. Um, and I think that more consistent centrist US leaders would lead to more stable policy development and avoid this like whiplash that we are experiencing right now. Um, and hopefully that would lead to long-term growth for the nation. And that's it. Thank you.